Ladies and gentlemen, as you know, this year is a celebratory year for us, and as we get set up for the closing ceremony, we want to take a look back at the future of the key outcomes of GSR, the best practices, guidelines, and so we have actually prepared two short videos to refresh your memory of 20 years of regulatory accomplishments and a look at this year's recommendations as well. So please sit back and relax and enjoy 20 years of best practice guidelines and a look at the 2020 consultation as well. Thank you. There you have it. And congratulations are in order on adopting the Best Practice Guidelines 2020. So we're now going to be moving on to the next part of the session, which is our closing ceremony. In fact, it just seems like a few minutes ago that we started. It's been a roller coaster ride through regulation here at the Global Symposium for Regulators, and like all good things, it must come to an end at least for the time being. So we're going to welcome 4 key speakers here to provide closing statements. The ITU BDT Director, Ms. Doreen Bogdan-Martin, the Chair of the Regulatory Associations Round Table, Mr. Michel van Bellingen, and the Chair of IAGDI Crow, Mr. Bokar Bar, who's also CEO of Samina Telecommunications Council, and Mr. Dan Sjöblom, who is Director General of the Swedish Post and Telecommunications Authority and Chair of BEC, and is of course GSR 20 Chairman. So I will now hand the floor over to Doreen Bogdan-Martin, who is the ITU Telecommunications Development Bureau Director. Doreen, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Max. Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming, let's say regrettably, to the end of another GSR and of a landmark GSR too. This 20th edition of the symposium has been our first ever fully virtual event, but more significantly, it also marks the first symposium in the dawn of the post-COVID era. In the space of just a few months, our world has demarcated into a pre-pandemic and a post-pandemic world. And as the pandemic continues to rage in countries around the world, we are all now coming to understand that COVID will not prove a short-lived health crisis that we will eventually leave behind. Instead, it is increasingly clear that COVID has been a uniquely powerful game changer, and one whose effects on the ICT sector will perhaps be felt most keenly of all. Already over the past months, we've seen the combined market value of the leading tech companies hit an all-new record high. E-commerce has assumed a critical role with the race by merchants to boost their online presence, creating a boom for companies able to supply the digital tools to reach and engage online customers. There has been a huge surge in the global demand for online payments. And for those lucky enough to already enjoy a fast broadband connection, COVID has turbocharged the digital transformation process. The head of a tech company called COVID-19 an accelerant fueling global demand for digital services. And I agree that the landscape that is beginning to emerge looks quite different, with the future of commerce, work, medicine, education, and services changed forever. Earlier this week, actually the day we opened the GSR, President Paul Kagame, during a heads of state meeting that was convened with the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, spoke passionately about the vital importance of bringing internet connectivity to the world's youth. He noted the urgent need to connect would not diminish post-COVID. This is to say that as regulators, we have a great deal of work to do. And as ICANN's Goran Marby, who is also a former regulator, he reminded us in session 2, the internet will not be done until everyone is connected. My fellow director and friend Mario Manjevic put it very well when he observed that a truly digital society only happens when all citizens have access. I cannot tell you concretely what the seismic shifts of the past few months are going to mean for our work, but what I do know is that 5th generation regulation will be the fit for purpose framework that will allow us to navigate the uncharted waters that lie ahead. We may be entering choppy seas, and as analysts have noted, the pandemic is proving a powerful catalyst of disruption, with sharp divisions appearing not only between strong and weak companies, but also between vulnerable and resilient industry sectors. In such uncertain times, I really believe that the best practice guidelines that have been developed during this GSR may just prove to be the most important roadmap for the digital ecosystem that we have ever formulated. Embodying gold standard 5th generation principles, our guidelines stress flexible, agile, light touch regulation that is collaborative and open to partnerships and cooperation. These are all themes that came out again today in our discussions. Now more than ever, outdated adversarial models that pitted regulators against private companies and private companies against each other, they need to be replaced by collaborative approaches where all stakeholders together create win-win strategies that will benefit government, industry, and most importantly, users. Ladies and gentlemen, we've covered so much ground here this week about how to be fit for purpose, strengthening collaboration. We took a deep dive into competition issues, spectrum, safety, security, sustainable and inclusive societies. At the opening of this event, I spoke of regulators as the architects of our project to bridge the digital divide. But I think the rich and vibrant discussions over the past 3 days have convinced me that I probably underestimated your role. In our post-COVID world, you are nothing short of the architects of the future, because digital is going to define every single aspect of our new normal, and your role could hardly be more critical. My team and the whole of the ITU remain fully engaged with you as we work to support one another through the challenging and exciting times ahead. We heard from our alumni session today how much we depend on each other. So let us stay strong as a community, let's collaborate, and let's keep this conversation going. I think none of us have all the answers. We need to continue sharing and learning. And I really do want to thank you for being part of this extraordinary GSR, which has seen an unprecedented level of participation on this virtual platform. And as of 10 minutes ago, we had 609 experts that joined us throughout the week from 120 countries and 75 sector members. And I'm very encouraged by the success, by these numbers. We did have a few technical hiccups here and there, but it does seem like future GSRs will need to encompass at least a hybrid mix of both physical and virtual sessions so that we can bring more voices to the table, particularly from countries and communities that have traditionally struggled to attend in person. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank our chair, Dan Schublem, for his outstanding leadership, for his guidance in bringing us all together and driving this successful GSR. I also want to thank our very capable chairs of the regulatory associations meeting, of our IAGD CRO sessions, Michelle and Bokar, thank you so much. I want to acknowledge our other session moderators, Amir, Leonardo, Americo, and to all of you that contributed over the summer months to our regional regulatory roundtables, our GSR leadership debate, our training sessions with USTTI that were held last week, and of course our heads of regulators executive roundtable on Tuesday. I want to thank Jimmy, our visual graphist, for his amazing work. That was a sort of first for us, I think a successful first. Thank you for capturing our discussions and for helping us all to really see the big picture. A special appreciation goes to our calm, unflappable moderator, Max, from Mission Control there, who really took the few technical glitches that we encountered in his stride, and he ensured that our new virtual format worked as smoothly and as inclusively as it could. Thank you, Max. I think the Eagle has almost successfully landed. And last but not least, I want to thank the amazing GSR team, Sophie, Julia, Carmen, Nancy, Celia, Tamaite, Enrica, and Attila. Thank you for your expertise and your commitment to this event and really to supporting the work of the whole global regulatory community. I think everyone with us today acknowledges your incredible professionalism and thanks you. And I would also like to thank, of course, the IS team, the registration team, the captioners, the interpreters, and the other ITU colleagues behind the scenes. This was not just a BDT effort. This was really a whole of ITU effort. And of course, my biggest thanks goes to all of you, our GSR participants, for contributing, for engaging, and for sharing. The Undersecretary General Fabrizio Hochschild reminded us on Tuesday that in our digital age, failing to connect the other half of humanity will mean leaving those who are unconnected behind. We need to continue to advocate for global recognition of digital connectivity as the basic foundational element of the Sustainable Development Agenda. Because as we define the new normal for our post-COVID world, leaving no one behind will mean leaving no one offline. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I really look forward to continuing to proactively engage with you in the months and years ahead, and look forward, of course, to welcoming you back to GSR 2021. I wish you and all of your families good health. With that, I turn back to you, Max. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Doreen, and thank you for the kind words there. And now I would like to hand the floor to the chair of the Regulatory Associations meeting and also the incoming BEREC chairman, Mr. Michel van Bellingham. Michel, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Max. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of this meeting held on Monday, 31 August, was to provide us with the opportunity to exchange on activities, opportunities, and challenges. First part of the meeting focused on a panel discussion, with the second part of the meeting focusing on presentation of the main projects and activities of each regulatory associations and information on challenges relating to COVID-19 and how RRs are responded. We held a rich discussion on how regulatory associations can collaborate and to identify solutions together to build back better in a post-COVID digital ecosystem. To address the challenges of the future, we need forward-looking mindsets and we need to anticipate future trends. The tasks ahead of us include, first, thorough assessment of measures taken in the last month, and second, deepen the collaboration between institutions. Among the working areas that were mentioned as the focus on ongoing and or upcoming activities were digital transformation, digital strategies, 5G spectrum, quality of service, international mobile roaming, and consumer protection. Participants noted the value of sharing experiences and knowledge on topical regulatory issues they address. We agreed that sharing information is key under crisis situations because no country and no single regulator can fight a crisis on its own. ITU has been setting the example by creating the global network resiliency platform Reg4COVID, which was very helpful to see the policy and regulatory initiatives and actions taken from all around the world. Regional associations, we agreed, have an important role to play and have to establish a framework based on their experience and that of the member states and international organizations. RAs could work on harmonized measures to protect consumers against false information and to ensure that there is no interruption of service and that this is resilient and available. We have to work together regionally to come up with common rules and find answers to the digitalization of our society. Discussions also have to include decision makers, policy makers to foster the adoption of digital solutions. Harmonization, consolidations, and international cooperation are the keywords participants concluded. In conclusion, it is clear that the situation is not alike across the world, but bridging the digital divide is crucial for everyone. We need to work together to create portals and workshops, groups to exchange information and repositories for documents, this to share experience and outputs and tools for further collaboration between regional associations. And let me thank the ITU for inviting me. It has been an honor and a pleasure. Over to you, Max.
Thank you very much indeed, Michel, and thank you very much for your contributions here. So I now would like to welcome Mr. Bokar Bar, CEO of Samina Telecommunications Council and the IACTI CRO Chair, to give us his final words. Thank you very much indeed. Bokar, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Max. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Doreen. Good afternoon, Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen. The meeting of the Industry Advisory Group on Development Issue and the Private Sector Chief Regulatory Officers meeting was held for the first time in the new format, back-to-back with the GSR 2020 on 31st August. The meeting discussed critical questions and proposed ways to address and adapt to industry and regulatory challenges, including those stemming from transformational shifts catalyzed by the world collective experience with the COVID-19 pandemic. The meeting also noted that priorities should continue to be given to meaningful, secured, affordable, and sustainable broadband connectivity for all. However, as this crisis has become the new normal, the urgency with which universal digital access and services needs to be realized has increased. In this regard, the meeting stressed the need for a better enabling environment, including regulatory frameworks that specifically enable connectivity and increased public sector participation in non-economical areas. To adapt to the new normal, better preparedness and network resilience, as well as an increased focus on connectivity, infrastructure investment were highlighted as key. This calls for bold, new and inclusive approaches that are technology neutral. Further, there is need to take a long-term perspective that is locally rooted yet cross-border in scope and driven by stakeholders through commitment, collaboration, and partnerships. However, such approaches should be non-prescriptive, provide the right balance between commercial and increased public sector involvement, and be supported by enabling regulation and competitive market forces. This requires a rethink of current financing and funding approaches and mechanisms, as well as existing, of course, business models. Thus, a massive collaborative public, private, and cross-industry effort is required. Moving forward, the meeting proposed 4, let's say, key focus area. 1, a need for availability of sufficient and flexible spectrum. 2, the review and repurposing of USF funds and acceleration of USF disbursement to address gaps in connectivity and maintain and expand networks to ensure better preparedness and network resilience. 3, very important, the review of industry fees and taxation, promotion of infrastructure sharing, harmonization and standardization to enable secure and safe cross-border data movement. Last but not least, the need for good governance and agility in regulatory measures to address issues emerging from the use of digital technology. Furthermore, IACTI CRO, the private sector platform, reaffirmed the industry and private sector commitment to support governments during the recovery phase of the COVID-19 pandemic, work with government and regulators to prepare better for future similar crises, to play a more active role in supporting also ICT development work, to use existing networks to promote the ITUD sector for purpose of recruiting more private sector players, and to contribute to the ongoing important preparation for WTDC 21. While IAG-DCRO expresses its readiness to support government efforts, it takes this opportunity to thank the ongoing support and calls for more collaboration in creating a more friendly, win-win enabling environment. And allow me, please, with this, to thank you all for being a part of this meeting update. I congratulate the ITU leadership and the ITU staff at all for successfully executing this large meeting as a part of the GSR 2020, and also for the ITU's continued focus on fostering better collaboration between member states and the private sector. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, stay well, be safe, and over to you, Max. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Bokar, for those very fine words, and thanks again for your great work as the chairman of IAG-DCRO. So it's now my great pleasure to hand the floor over to Dan Sjöblom, who is Director General of the Swedish Post and Telecommunications Authority, PTS, Chair of BEREC, and of course, Chair of GSR 20. Mr. Sjöblom, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Max. Distinguished guests and colleagues, we have now reached the end of 3, in my view, very productive days of dialogue and consensus building, just like is the tradition of the Global Symposium for Regulators. I am very thankful for the honor and privilege of serving as your chairman for this 20-year anniversary of the GSR. It's been the first virtual GSR ever, and what a success it has been. It has been more accessible than ever before. Wherever we are all located, we heard the numbers of participants from Doreen. Of course, we all know that there is the fact that you need to be able to connect to the internet. So there's still more work to do to have more people connecting to future meetings. Now, the GSR has, of course, also come of age 20 years, and it has come to represent one of the most valuable assets for the global community of telecommunication for ICT regulators. Meeting together like this, we are able to focus on the key issues, challenges, often faced together. This gives us a possibility to share information, share expertise, provide each other with supports and new ideas, creative solutions that we can borrow from each other to issues that confront us all. The challenges, as well as the opportunities that we all face, often, more often than not, I would say, stem from global trends that we all deal with all the time. And the GSR gives us a holistic understanding of the market and how we best develop our practices that we use. Now, as we finish up with the GSR 2020, we will return to our missions, national missions, with new conceptual tools to our regulatory toolboxes. While each GSR is more valuable than the one before, we continue and build on the learning. I think the 20th edition is particularly important because, and despite of the global pandemic that we are facing, we were able to meet, and we were able to meet successfully. We were able to share information with each other. I think this is a very powerful and constructive message in and of itself that we should take with us. Now, as we, as regulators, must take the opportunity to work with our governments and decision makers, we have the results of this year's GSR with us, and we are going to have to work and take the opportunity to work effortlessly towards great supply of cost-effective infrastructure for everyone. We have heard many clear messages during the past 3 days about the importance of internet for everyone to be able to use vital services to be part of society. Digital functions are mushrooming all around us. Everything like smart health, communication, our economy, everything needs to, we need the internet to be part of society. That is clear, and it's going to continue to be clear as we move forward. So that is really our work that is ahead of us. We need to unite in a digital ecosystem. We need to leave no one behind. And this is our common task, and we should do it in a collaborative way, as we have heard said so many times over the past 3 days. As chair of BEREC, I can assure that BEREC will continue to engage, dialogue with partners, both inside and beyond the EU, including, importantly, international regulatory networks, and with global bodies, notably with our friends here at the ITU. So thank you very much, ITU. Thank you to Doreen. Thank you to your entire team for all your work to enabling us to meet like this despite the pandemic, and again for the honor of allowing me to share this important event. And finally, to everyone out there, this year's GSR has been a success only because of all of you. It is your engagement, your active participation, your expert insight that has made this such a stimulating and rewarding event. So now I've come to the duty. I hereby very proudly take my gavel and I close this year's symposium. Until next year's GSR 2021, everyone, please stay safe, please stay safely. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Dan Söblom. And as Dan has just said, that is the end of, there we go, people are putting their hands up and reactions there, that's great, of GSR 20, and a very important event. And despite the global health challenges that we have faced, we were able to meet, as Dan said. And how valuable was that? I think the answer is crystal clear. So finally, perhaps everyone could just throw their cameras on again, and we can take one last shot. And we're going to leave you also with a final video as well, that's going to give you a few memories, perhaps of some previous ones there. But yes, just give each other a wave, and we will all, of course, see you in 2021. So that's lovely. It's very fantastic to see you all, and very, very grateful to all of the participants at this year's GSR 20. What a very special event it has been, and a very valuable and important one too. So we're going to leave you now with one final video, and this collects a few GSR memories from the last 20 years. You may recognize yourselves in some of the shots there. And once again, thanks again very much to the whole team who have been here working tirelessly, as Doreen says, and very much, of course, in thanks to all of you for being with us. And it wouldn't have been the event it has been without your participation. So thanks very much indeed, and thanks to the interpreters who are born with everybody here. And there is actually no interpretation in this video, and it's all in all the different languages. So we hope you enjoy it, and see you in 2021. Thank you.